Dungeon Master's Guide from Books A Million. I think I got it like maybe a month or two after I had the Player's Handbook, mainly because I was unemployed at the time. How old was I? I would have been in my early 20s, unemployed, still living at home, which I'm employed now, but but back then I had a lot of free time, and I saved up. I think I mowed lawns because I couldn't find the job for the life of me. So I was just mowing lawns and saving birthday and Christmas money, and finally buying this, this, and the Monster Manual, which is behind me, which I should have grabbed, but I didn't. But it's okay. But I got the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I was like, hey, talking to my cousin, because in the first video, the first time I ever played was with my cousin. He was in college at the time, art school. So he didn't have as much free time as I did. He was mostly, he was studying, and he had classes and all that. I was completely free, though. I had a job. So I decided to go to my friend group, the group I played Xbox with. And I was like, hey guys, I'm getting into Dungeons and Dragons. I'd really like it if I could share this, play with you guys. And most of them were on the fence, kind of like how I was, where I was like, that's a little too nerdy for me. They were kind of the same way. But it took some convincing, but I got my friend Emmanuel, my friend Tristan, my friend, I don't think Miney played with me yet. He was still on the fence about it. I'll tell stories about him. There's some funny ones. But it was Manuel, Tristan, and I think Tanner, who I don't play with any of them now. I still play Xbox every now and then with them, but not as often. But it was those three. Now this was well before D&D Beyond. I'm talking 2015, when there was no such thing as D&D Beyond. You needed the books, you needed paper, you needed pen. So I think Emmanuel used some random app that lets you make characters. I don't know if he paid for it, if it was free, long ago, I don't remember. But he was using some app to track his character and roll his dice. And I think Tristan was doing the same. Tanner, I don't remember. I don't remember at all. But I helped them make their characters. I don't remember what they played, because this is very long ago, and this wasn't a successful campaign. It was my first ever attempt. It was literally session 1, and then we never played that campaign again. Those characters were lost to the wind. But we played, and they loved it. Well, Manuel loved it, and Tanner loved it. Tristan was on the fence. And I don't think I've ever played Tristan again. Not because I don't want to, but because he's just not interested. But the first ever thing they did was they met in a tavern, as you do in your first campaign, and they were approached. I had told them they had been gathered here to take a job by someone in the town, and the guy approaches them and he's like, "Hey, I'm blah blah blah. I'm here to give you your job." And Tristan, who I do believe was playing as a Goliath, I think I remember that, was like, "Well, what can I do? What am I allowed to do?" Because these guys, they didn't own any of the books. I was walking them through how to make their characters through Xbox Game Chat, because this is before I had a PC and I had Discord, so I'm using Xbox Live. And I'm walking them through their characters, and they're like, "Well, what can we do?" And I'm like, "Well, you can," and I go down the list, you can fight monsters. Basically what ended up happening was he was like, "I want to intimidate the quest giver to take his stool, turn it upside down, and sit on it." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, you can do that." So he rolled intimidation, he rolled high enough, and the guy was like, "Okay, I'm trying to hire you, but..." So then he flipped his chair upside down and sat on it. And that's how that went. And then they decided to take the job. And I think I did have a DMPC, a halfling druid. I was just playing to help guide them, because they've never played. And I was still new. This is the first thing I did after playing my first character and that campaign going nowhere, was make my own. So I've been a dungeon master since almost the beginning. But I was like, okay, well, here's the quest. There's some farmers. They need aid. Something is killing their livestock. And they're like, okay, we'll do that. So they go to the farm, and they fight an Ankh. A-N-K-E-G. An Ankh? An Ankh? It's that bug creature. I can't remember. I don't know how to pronounce the name. And I don't have the monster manual with me right now, but it's that type of burrowing bug creature, not too difficult. You know, you'd encounter it at low levels, but I fought it, and this is where things get kind of screwy. We had another friend, Reese, who I don't think any of them, including myself, talk to anymore. I don't know why. I guess there was a falling out, but he shows up and he's like, "Oh, you guys are playing D&D. I want to play." And I'm like, "Sure, but you don't have a character." So he, with his general knowledge of D&D, because he had never played either, was like, "Okay, I'll be a bard." And I'm like, "That's great. Bards are great." He's like, "Okay, I use the spell Face Melter." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's how it works. You just make things up, right?" "Well, I use Face Melter." And I'm like, "That's not how it works. And this is all on me. I just, he showed up in the Xbox party chat, and I was so enthusiastic to have someone else play that I didn't really consider that he hadn't made a character. He doesn't know how the game works, and I'm basically just setting him up to not know what he's doing. So it's my fault, and I accept that. I messed up, and I didn't include him initially because I thought I didn't think he'd be interested, but he was. So we talk it out, and I explain what's going on, and he's like, "Okay, well then I don't do Face Melter." And he ended up not doing anything because he doesn't have a character sheet. He doesn't know what to roll. He doesn't know how to roll. He doesn't know how to use. The other two, including my druid and Tanner, defeat the Ankig. I don't know how to pronounce it, but they beat it, and they go to the tavern and they're celebrating with what coin they've got. And I'm like, okay, that's the end of their session. And I was like, that was awful because of the mistakes I made. And it didn't taint my opinion on being a dungeon master. I still am a dungeon master to this day, but it did leave a taste in my mouth where I'm like, okay, next time, be more prepared and be ready for if other people want to join. It's my fault. I should have either told him, "No, you can't join right now, you don't have a character," or spent a few minutes explaining it better to him. Because I'm guessing under his impression, it was all imagination. You just made up whatever you want, and you do whatever you want, I guess. But that's how that went, my first ever session. And I've gotten better. At least I think I have. I've gotten a lot better. I still have issues with how quickly I go through things. I'm very... Explain, if an NPC is telling you something, he's not going to dawdle. He's going to spit the facts, and off you go. But that's my first time being a dungeon master, and out of the 4 people who played, Tanner, Reese, Tristan, and Manny, only Manny and Tanner decided to stay on and play my next campaign, which, if I recall, was just as screwy as that one. But that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and in the comments below, if you're a dungeon master, tell me your first dungeon master session. Tell me your first campaign, how your first session went. Was it better than my experience? Was it worse? Did it really taint it for you, or did it encourage you to make more? So just tell me in the comments below, and thanks for watching.